Hi there. Today I'm gonna try my version of the Dee Monkey. Made a few goes of this, but this is actually the fly when it's finished. So I just put my 3mm glitter tube onto the needle, and I got a 1.8mm inner tube and a 5mm tungsten US tube. All products is from Danish Futurefly, where I get probably the best materials for tube flies, hair, you name it, in the world. The thread I'm gonna use today is also a GSP thread from Futurefly. It's an 8-0. It's pretty thin, and it works perfectly for these tube flies. On the tube I'm tying in some flat braid in holographic gold, just 2/3 down the tube, and then I'm gonna wind this flat braid all the way up to the US tube. Like this, just leaving a little bit of space for the dubbing. Cut off the excess material here. Then I have mixed some fluorescent seal fur in yellow. There's some of the easy dubbing from Futurefly in golden yellow, and it pretty much looks like this when it's mixed. I think it's a good mix of fluorescent materials, and just gonna put in a bundle of dubbing here, almost to the end of the US tube, just leaving 1 to 1.5 mil left, where I'm gonna tie in my bobtail. Just a little bit more, like this. So then I'm gonna rip this up with my dubbing brush, just on the sides and on the top, just for making a small wing to lift the next materials up. So like this. Then I'm gonna take my yellow bobtail, just a small bundle of that. I've already cut it off, so taking off the small short fibers, only leaving back the long fibers. I think that's about it. Just taking off some of these fibers, so I get this nice little wing. Like this. I think this wing is about, I don't know, 2.5 inch. That's 6 to 8 centimeters in length. Just a couple of turns. Then I'm going to take some super glue on the thread and just put in 2 or 3 wraps like this, and then I'm gonna cut off the excess material here. And then I'm gonna take some midge flash in yellow. Just a couple of strands would do, because I'm gonna put it in double. So I just tie it in a different length. Just a couple of wraps, and then I'm gonna take my flash and turn it back over and lock it into place. So, and then I'm gonna cut it off in different length. So, then I'm gonna take some dubbing again, just a tiny bit of dubbing, just to hide my tying point, and then I'm gonna work it over to the 1.8mm tube like this. Then I'm gonna take my feather. This is a silver pheasant I have dyed in fluorescent yellow. Just take off the fluff, and I'm gonna find my tying point on this feather. That's about it here, like this. And then I'm gonna tie in my feather here, close to the US tube. Take the tip and fold it back. Just give it a couple of wraps with the thread and cut off the excess. And then I'm going to take my scissors and just break the fibers back, so it's much easier to haggle this feather. And then I'm going to haggle my feather 2 to 3 turns. Depends on how big your fly is. This is one of the bigger flies, so I'm giving it a full wrap with the full feather, like this. So, and then I'm gonna cut off the stem. Just be aware, don't cut into the tube or your fly will break. Then I'm gonna take some Arctic Fox, just a small bundle of that, like this. And then I'm gonna take my brush, just brush it in the bottom to get most of the fluffy hair away. And then I'm gonna put my wing up, so it's just a little bit longer than the bucktail. Not much, just a little bit. And then I'm gonna tie in my Arctic Fox wing in black here. Just a couple of wraps, and then I'm gonna take some super glue again, just to fasten it so it won't slip away. Just hold it for a minute, or for a second, and then I'm gonna cut off the rest of the Arctic Fox so close to the thread as possible. It's almost possible to cut it off half a mil from the tying thread, like this. And then I'm gonna take some goat in black, just a small bundle of that. And don't mind the fluff in the bottom. You can put it off, but you're gonna tie it in much longer up, so it's not important to remove it. And I'm gonna tie in my black goat here, so it's 2 to 3 centimeters. That's about an inch longer than the Arctic fox. And because it's so slippery, this goat material, I'm gonna have to use some super glue again, like this. And then I'm gonna take my super glue again and just put in some wraps with super glue, so I'm pretty much sure it won't slip away. Then I'm gonna take my knife again and cut off the excess material as close to the thread as possible. That's about 1/4 millimeter here, so it's almost up to the thread, like this. Then I'm going to take some peacock curls for the top of the wing, just 2 strands of peacock, and see to it's pretty much the same length, and they have a natural way of folding, so it can be a little tricky to get them to lie where you want it. So I'm gonna tie in these peacock curls like this. So just a small amount of super glue, just to secure it from slipping away, like this. Then I'm gonna cut off the excess material again, and then I'm gonna tie in some cheeks in jungle cock. I'm just gonna find 2 feathers that will suit me for this fly. Normally you would take from one side and another side, but if you take it from the middle, you can pretty much be sure that 2 feathers that's sitting aside are pretty much the same, so you don't have to take feathers from one side and another side. But if you have used all the feathers in the middle, you'll have to take some feathers from one side and from the other side. And then I'm going to tie in my jungle cock here, just a couple of turns, and fold my stem back and take a couple of turns just to secure it. And then I'm going to cut off my stem, and then I'm going to tie in jungle cock for the other side, so it'll be similar to the other side. I'm just going to measure the length of the feather, so it'll be pretty much the same. And then I'm going to tie in my feather here, It's just a couple of turns, and fold my stem back and give it a couple of turns, and then I'm gonna cut off the excess material again, and then I'm gonna take my super glue just to finish the fly. So just hold it for a few seconds, and then I'm gonna cut off my thread, and then I'm putting on some super glue all the way around, and then I'm gonna take a nano disc also from Tubefly, and then I'm gonna take my 3mm tube and just press it into the fly and just hold it so it's secured, and then I'm going to take my fly off and just cut off the tip, and then I have a lighter here and just melt the wrists, and put it onto the needle again like this, and there you have it, the Dee Monkey variant. This is my version of the Dee Monkey. I've made quite a few of these monkeys, so it's a pretty awesome fly. You could actually mix it in many colors in the bobtail and in the haggle, but if you want to get close to the original, I think this is the way to do it. But anyway, thanks for watching, and happy fishing out there.